Hey Mom, can I record her? Hey, Fragorn here, and I've got a shifting gears video. This is kind of fun, and it's part of preparing for a league launch, which we haven't been able to do for a year. But news came out a couple days ago after I'd done all kinds of planning for my Ignite Elementalist with the new Golem buffs that in the patch notes, Soulwrest, an awesome staff, is getting massively buffed. So what this staff used to do is give you trigger level 20 summon phantasm when you consume a corpse. Now it gives you level 25, so you're going to get more phantasms, because I believe as you increase that it'll give you one, maybe two more. So it'll go from 10 to say 12, maybe, or for sure 11. You link it with a summon phantasm support gem, and that takes your number up to probably 21 phantasms. Also, a massive buff. Minions deal 92 102 to 132 to 156 additional physical damage. So that used to be a small number, like 40 ish to 70 ish as the best. So it basically got doubled because the top number on the old Soulwrest was where it says 156 was like 75, and now it's 156. So just a massive damage boost to the summon phantasms from Soulwrest. I played this build a couple years ago on Guardian, and it was good. Very easy to clear content with. Fantastic league starter. Another beautiful thing about Soulwrest is you don't need a 6-link ever with this build. It's not even part of it. So the way it works is you get Soulwrest with 6 sockets, and every single socket in there supports your level 25 summon phantasms. So I'm going to convert all my damage of my minions to elemental, because they do physical right now, using the Triad Grip mesh gauntlets. These go so well with Guardian and Soulwrest. So you can see minions convert 25 to cold damage per green socket, 25% to lightning damage per blue, and 25 to red per fire. And if you get white sockets on there, you could also convert your damage to chaos if you wanted to. I'm going to look for lightning damage. Um, Maybe cold too. This is an energy shield armor based gear, so it's a lot easier to get red and blue rolling it. Once you have a ton of chromatics and some bench crafts, it's super easy to get them all green, and some jeweler orbs. I mean, with the bench craft to just roll the two, make it two sockets. Use the benchcraft to turn both those two green, and then re-roll 3 sockets until you get a green socket, and then re-roll sockets until you get a another green. You could also go hybrid, half blue, half green. Get a good bonus from that too. And the reason why I'm trying to turn it green or blue and not red, especially green, is because of the free hatred aura. So why Guardian? That's why I'm going to get to that. Next is Guardian has the auras I want. So they had a rework to Guardian, which I liked in the first place, but it's not really why you play Guardian as a Soulwrest build. Why you play it as these skills right here. So once you hit your first lab, you're going to get level 20 Summon Sentinel of Radiance skill. Instantaneously, you're going to get a 20% Fortify, which is magnificent. All damage taken from hits is from your Sentinel before you. So that's like having a 20 Fortify stacks at all times while this guy's up. He's big. He has a big Righteous Fire aura. He's like a mini character with Righteous Fire that hits really hard. So as soon as you get this guy out, you'll start noticing everything around him is just burning up. And it's a pretty big radius. It's not huge, but it's noticeably effective. He's very slow, however, so you need Convocation to keep him up with you. So he really works well once you have Convocation. He also hits pretty hard. He's got a nice sword, and he just hits hard. You'll see when he's attacking bosses that in the campaign that he's hitting hard. Second reason is on your second lab, it leads to this 25% chance to trigger level 20 summon elemental relic when you or an ally kill an enemy or hit a rare or a unique enemy. So these come up all the time, whether you're hitting or your minions are hitting. you're proccing these relics. And there's 3 of them. One gives you a nice level 25, I think, anger aura, so flat physical damage to attacks and spells, very nice. One gives you a level 25 wrath aura, so flat lightning damage to attacks and more lightning damage which spells. Your summoned phantasms from Soulwrest do spells, so that more bonus really affects lightning damage really well. Third is a hatred aura, so X% of physical damage as extra cold. Your base damage from your summoned phantasms is physical, so say it's 25% Fizz as extra cold, you get 25% of whatever physical damage they do as cold. Even if you convert all that damage to lightning, you still get that extra cold damage. So you are going to be getting some chills and things like that on enemies. Possibly even freezes, but not very often. The chill is what's nice, and just flat extra elemental damage. So the other rework, this part of the passive tree was not reworked at all. This part, however, was. So Radiant Faith stays the same. Grants armor, flat armor. This is not a very good node. To you and your allies, and energy shield to you and your allies. So if you reserve a bunch of your mana and energy, if you reserve a bunch of mana, you get some flat armor and some flat energy shield, and that also goes to your minions, so they get a little tankier. But what it leads to is this. This used to say this: auras from your skills grant increased recovery rate of life, manage energy shield to you and your allies. It has changed to Unwavering Faith. Where's my patch notes? There. Guardian. Unwavering Faith ascendancy passive skill has been reworked. It now grants 50% increased reservation efficiency of skills. And that's not just mana reservation efficiency, that's reservation efficiency. So you could theoretically reserve a little bit of good stuff on your life too and not pay an exorbitant amount for it. There's also a passive on the tree. Right here. I took the one for maximum elemental resistance, but you could also take the one for more life reservation. So you'd have 70% increased life reservation efficiency just from that. So theoretically, you could put a nice little 25% aura or something on your life and not hardly even have it affect it. Or you could put clarity and precision and vitality, things like that. You could put flesh and stone. There's just lots of little defensive things you could put on your life that would be very cheap. So you're going to be flush with auras. You're going to get free aura, hatred, wrath, anger from your ascendancy with your minions. I'm thinking purity of elements, reserve it yourself on your mana, huge reservation efficiency, probably discipline, get that extra energy shield. Like I said, flesh and stone's very strong defensive aura. You can run the turtle spectre from the shipping that gives you free determination aura. He's also really slow, but since you're already dealing with a slow Sentinel of Radiance, it doesn't really affect you. There's other auras from the good specters from the boats. I think there's a haste one. Anyway, you can look that all up and see what you come up with for those, and then just your own auras. You could have haste, purity of elements, malevolence does you no good, discipline is good, skitterbots would be good for applying a free chill and free shock. Lots of little stuff like that is nice. You probably wouldn't want skitterbots because if you're converting your summon phantasms damage from physical to cold and lightning, you're going to get your own shocks and chills from them. So not as important. Anyway, Soulwrest got massively buffed. It works great with Guardian. This would also work really well with Witch because it would automatically convert all of the Phantasm's damage to Chaos and provide a withered effect from the Chaos. You could do a poison summon Phantasm's build super easily as a Witch. But I like the idea of having this guy at the start of the campaign, level 30ish. You get him, solves all your problems. You fly through the campaign like as easy as it gets. Another thing I like on this guy is there's just these notes just work so good for defenses. You're going to get incredibly tanky. I don't know if you saw the line when I was showing the Soulwrest, but if you've consumed a corpse recently, you and nearby allies regenerate 5% of life per second. So your minions are going to be super tanky because they're going to be getting huge life regens. Big spectres, and your golem has big life pools. So if they're regenerating 5% of life, that is a lot of life coming back. If you're running period of elements and determination and grace, they all have great defenses. They're just going to be really hard to kill. Looking at anoints that will help with that, there's only one I have in mind that's super cheap. You can anoint Grave Intentions. It's 1 brown and 2 purples. It's basically free. Gives your minions a nice buff to chaos resistance and a huge chunk of life as extra energy shield. Make them really tanky. Block. Since you're using a staff, Soulwrest base block is 25% chance to block attack damage, which is nice. Who doesn't want to block 25% attack damage? We're going to increase that right here. You can get 2, 6, 10, 20. So you go from 25 to 45 right there. Also getting a nice chunk of extra armor if you've blocked attacks recently. Life and reduced mana cost of skills. Maximum resistance. Increased armor, increased energy shield, critical strike reduction. Recover energy shield over a second if you take physical damage. The other one up there gives me less critical strike reduction, so I'm at 30, 50. I'm going to come down here and get a little more armor, a little more life, more crit reduction. So that takes me up to 80. A little more life and max fire res. We're going to run 5 endurance charges. More life. Going to reduce the mana cost of our skills a little more by having some of our mana come from life. You may swap this one out to the 15% from body armor, depending upon what kind of body armor you take. Over here, we're going to get more chance to block now spells and attack damage. I can't remember what I was at before, but like 50 or something. Or 45, so 45, 48, 51, 54, and 62. So we're going up to 62 attack block there, and also getting some spell here. We're going to get more spell block here, recover energy shield when we block, life gain and mana back when we block. Lots more chance to block spell damage here. Very nice. So we're going to have very solid spell and attack block. More chance to block spells up here while holding the staff. So we're looking at 60-ish chance to block attacks. Probably 50-ish chance to block spells just for free. So that's fantastic. More minion nodes up here. Going to get our extra spectre. Just more minion damage and a little minion life. More minion life and regen for you and your minions. Minion damage, minion life, minion damage, minion attack and cast speed. Very important to get your phantasm shooting quickly. More attack and cast speed, more minion damage. The Masteries, I got increased effective offerings because we're going to want to be spamming offerings to proc our minions, because if they come with when you consume a corpse, so you're going to proc them. What I'll do is I'll link Cyclone. Actually, this might be a great thing to link in the Triad Grip since it's blue, blue, green, green. So if I have blue, blue, green, green in here, I'm going to get 50% of my damage converted to cold and 50 converted to lightning. That's pretty good. I'll take it. What I'll have in there is Cyclone, green, Castful Channeling, blue, Desecrate, green, the flesh offering, the one that makes them attack faster. Flesh offering, blue. So it'll be blue, green, blue, green. And that'll be just popping constantly, constantly resummoning your phantasms for you. More minion life and regen. I like this because I want to keep my spectres alive in my golem. I'm going to use a what's the one, the corpse golem or whatever the heck he's called, the one that grants flat physical damage to your army. You'll get more life regen. I want convocation up a lot. I want it to come fast. I want my minions to penetrate elemental resistances if they've been cursed. I'd like a little more effective my offerings. More attack and cast speed. All very good. So that's basically the tree. As you can see, I got a cluster jewel in here. You'll have to play with your points. You may not take as many block points, or you may not need as many reservation points. You may take these less. You'll figure out how to get your points in there. You're going to want a large cluster jewel with at least one medium and one small. I didn't do a full POB on this because I just literally thought of this when I was reading through this part of the patch notes. So your large cluster jewel has to have Call to the Slaughter and Raise and Pillage. Those are your best two notables. Call to the Slaughter gives just flat increased minion damage, which is nice. Minions created recently, which will be frequently because you're going to be resummoning a lot of these guys every time you consume a corpse. Have 10% increased attack and cast speed, so that's going to be 10% increased cast speed for them. And they get a little movement speed. That's not very important. Raise and Pillage, awesome. So your minions are going to be doing fire damage because they have anger from your ascendancy. So they're going to get a big chance to ignite. And since you have so many of them, everything that's around is going to be ignited constantly. They're going to do 20% increased damage with hits against ignited enemies. So that's constantly, basically. And they're going to gain 6% of their flat physical damage as extra fire. So that's just a 6% extra fire damage on top of their stuff. Very nice little large cluster. You don't need 12 passes. You can probably get this with 9 very cheaply early in the league. Your medium, super important. This is the most important part. So Blessed Rebirth, you got to have this. Minions have 20% increased maximum life. That's nice, but not important. Minions created recently cannot be damaged. So you're going to be popping off your flesh offering constantly and recreating these minions. So there's going to have a ton of uptime on their immortal. They're super weak little things, so any big AoEs or burning around or degen effects that are around will just wipe them out. But Blessed Rebirth makes them so they stay up for 4 seconds, because recently it's 4 seconds. So if you resummon your whole batch every 4 seconds, it's nice. You're going to have immortal little spirits. That's one of the reasons I don't use like Carnage Chieftains or whatever the other one is, those chieftain spectres, because they're applying frenzies to your minions, and that's really good, and power charges to your minions. That's really good for permanent minions. But if you're constantly recycling like you would be with summon raging spirits or skeletons or these spirits, there's no benefit to getting a frenzy charge or a power charge on a minion that's just going to be recycled immediately and not have the power charges every time it comes back. So life from death, huge. This is so good. Minions have 15% increased maximum life. That's fine. But anytime a minion dies, you regenerate 2% of life per second. So you're basically getting another 2% of life regenerated. And the big one, minions recover 4% of life on minion death. This is going to keep your specters and your bone golem, and if you throw zombies in the build, I don't know if you will or not, but you might. Whatever you want, your other permanent minions are going to be unbelievably tanky in this build, especially if you anoint the passive that gives them the chaos resistance. So the way you're triggering them, like I said, is having probably Cyclone, Castful Channeling, Desecrate to spawn corpses, and Flesh Offering to consume the corpses. You're just going to channel that around. You don't even have to go near an enemy to do it. You can just do it on the side. If you didn't like to use Cyclone for some reason, you could do Stormburst. Just hold that down. If you converted all your minions' damage to fire, with making Triad all red for some reason. You could use the new buffed Scorching Ray and apply a really nice fire exposure. I think it's 25% or something. So you could use that to also spawn your corpses and then pop them. So any channeling spell or skill will work. You could use Blade Flurry. You could use whatever you want. I can't use Blade Flurry because you have a staff. But for attack, Cyclone's basically your bread and butter. And then I think you could probably use Charge Dash too if you wanted to use your movement skill as your channeler. So there's lots of options. Fun to play around with that sort of stuff. Feel what you like best. Get a feel for it. I don't I don't remember if your spirits move with you. I think they do. I don't think they're like skeletons where they just sit back and do nothing. I think they come with you, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to be resummoning so frequently. So I've switched gears. I can't not play this. Only thing that I'm kind of worried about is what if Soulwrest becomes a hard to get item. In the past, it's dropped like candy. I usually find 10 or 15 of them in a league. They just come like crazy. So it's always been relatively cheap and easy to get on day one as a unique. Let me check the level. When can you start using it? 60. So you don't even have to be high level to use it. You can basically equip this as soon as you're done with the campaign. So you don't get this during the campaign. It's a early mapping item. If it's hard to find, there's a simple solution. What you're going to do is take the same build, do everything the same, except you won't take these staff block nodes until you get a Soulwrest, because there's no reason to have them. You can pump that stuff into this wheel right here for minion accuracy to make your zombies, and what you'll use instead as your damage source is summon raging spirits. Have some accuracy. You could take these staff nodes and drop them into a shield node and equip a shield, so you'll still have really good attack block and spell block whether you're switched to Soulwrest or not. These nodes are awesome because they work for shield or staff. You get a ton of free elemental resistance too from this, and like I said, you get life gain on block, mana gain on block, and energy shield on block. It's just so good. So that's the way you'd start the game. You become a guardian, Templar. You'd work with whatever you want to level up to your first lab and get radiance, so you wouldn't have to take any minion points at all until you get here. You could just go straight up this part of the tree, get elemental damage, more damage right here, little life, come out here, get elemental damage, spell damage, elemental damage. All that stuff is super awesome. And then just use the standard Templar leveling strat of having a Holy Flame Totem and a Firewall and dropping those down. I sometimes like to throw a Orbistorm in there with the overcharge support, which makes that Orbistorm add a huge shock to enemies, making it really strong against bosses. You'll be putting a 12, 13, 15, 20, 30% shock to go along with your Holy Flame Totem. If you're super lazy, like I sometimes am when I'm leveling, I might actually come up here and just go ahead and take Ancestral Bond and go 2 Holy Flame Totems and a Flame Wall and do nothing. Then you lose the Orb of Storms, but the second Holy Flame Totem will more than make up for it. If you want, you can do that. Or if you want to start focusing on minions right away, you can skip all that stuff. And at level 4, you get Summon Raging Spirits. They suck until level 8 when you can get Melee Splash. Once you have a Summon Raging Spirit with maybe added fire damage and Melee Splash, 3 reds, or 2 reds and a blue, you're cruising. The campaign becomes gravy. Those guys just clear up everything. Get some zombies for meat shields and start working your way up here and get these nice regen nodes to keep your minions alive. Get the nice attack speed nodes and get these and just be a minion guy from the start. So 2 options, the Holy Flame Totem Firewall or SRS zombies right off the bat. Either way, you can't go wrong. As soon as you get your Sentinel Radiance, the campaign's done. He's going to kill everything in the campaign like nothing. He doesn't need any gear. He doesn't need a socket. He doesn't need anything. If you've never played a Guardian before with the Sentinel Radiance, you'll love it. If you haven't tried it, it's awesome. And then the new buff to this node, giving you 50% reservation efficiency for both life and mana, just lets you run so many auras. And you're going to reserve a bunch of mana to get yourself some extra armor and energy shield. That's nice. Not very important, but you will be extremely tanky. You'll have really good block chance. You'll have really good recovery of energy shield and life. It's a safe playstyle because you don't have to go anywhere near the enemy. Your little spirits are going to go and do all the damage. Minion playstyle is just safe in general. Your minions are going to get all kinds of regeneration and health given back to them. You're just going to have nice tanky minions. I didn't play this when T17 maps existed. I'm thinking I played this in like maybe 320 or 322 or something like that. It's been maybe I played this when Guardian got the update to the Sentinel Radiance. I can't remember what patch that was, but it was a couple years ago probably. So it was good. It was really good. But like I said, T17s didn't exist back then. So this guy will just crush your tier 16 content like nothing. You can start juicing fairly early. You'll be tanky. He'll get you through everything. The Sentinel Radiance really falls off in maps. He doesn't scale because you can't invest in him. So he's kind of a pain. He's like basically endgame useless, but he does still give you the free fortify. So you're going to have 20% damage taken from hits from your Sentinel Radiance. You're going to have 5 endurance charges from the small cluster jewel, giving you endurance charges when you're hit. Those will be up most of the time. I would throw an Enduring Cry into your build so you can force it to be on when you're going to fight a boss fight. Just walk up to him and Enduring Cry by him to get your endurance charges going right away. So 5 of those is 20% damage reduction from physical and elemental. This guy's affecting all of it. It's fortify basically, 20% from physical damage, elemental damage, and KS damage from hits. So you're going to have just massive damage reduction. Like I said, good chance to block, great recovery. What else more do you need for defenses? I would build with armor and energy shield bases for the most part. Like I said, I'm going to take this stuff to boost it. These are some fantastic notables right here. I love it. Yeah. Sorry I didn't do a POB. Like I said, I just literally thought of this morning when I was reading the updated patch notes. I focused a ton of my time on what I was going to do with an Ignite Elementalist, but that's going to go away. So I'm giving you guys a good chance to just look at this passive tree. Again, Soulwrest Triad Grip and these cluster jewels. Called Slaughter, Raise and Pillage, Blessed Rebirth, Life from Death, and Enduring Composure. Once you have that stuff, you're basically good to go. And then the rest of your gear is just to fill out resistances and life and whatever else you need for basic startup stuff. I'm not sure how hard you can push this guy. I don't think he's gonna be like I don't know. Maybe tier 17s will be fine with the upgrade to how much tankier you can make these guys. Maybe not. I'm sure you can push the damage up with really good cluster jewels and converting all the damage to cold and the different things you can do with spectres that make enemies take increased cold damage and things like that. You can use what's the cold snap with what's the gem that there's a support gem with cold snap that makes enemies take more damage if they're on chilling ground and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to really push the DPS. What it is at basic first 4 days of the league is just an all-arounder. It's going to be really good at getting your Atlas done, getting your Void Stones done. It's going to be really good at generating currency. These guys shoot a projectile. They shoot 1 projectile. So thinking about links, you got 5 links to work with on your Soulwrest. So say you go mostly blue on your say you go Stormburst, Castwell Channeling, Desecrate, and Flesh Offering. So 75% of their damage is going to be lightning and 25 is going to be cold in that situation. You would have Summon Phantasm as a support, so you can get 10 more Phantasms. That's very important. You would have Lightning Penetration, another blue, so 2 blues right there. It's a strength and int base item, so you're going to get easy blue sockets. So what I say, Summon Phantasm to get 10 more. Lightning Pen. You're going to look for, if I'm not going crit with this build, so probably Controlled Destruction. I don't want to use Elemental Focus because I do want them to be able to ignite to get the bonus from Raise and Pillage on the Large Cluster Jewel. If you don't have that, Elemental Focus is another fine support. Minion damage is very good for these guys. It does lower their life, but you're resummoning so much with the Blessed Rebirth that them having less life doesn't make any difference because they're immune to damage. And then, what's the fifth one? They're physical, they're minions. You could do faster casting. I don't know if they get benefits from Spell Echo. Can't remember. If they do, would be a good one. Another good one for map clear would be, Hypothermia. This is what I'd go with as my sixth link for sure, because it's gonna do more damage against chilled targets, and it's green, and then that means you can swap Hypothermia out for greater multiple projectiles, and that is really good. So let's take one more look at another thing here. This I might blind you if you want. Close your eyes for a second. I'm gonna look at the phantasm itself. Summons a phantasmal minion, which uses a piercing projectile spell. So you get good clear with just the one because it's going to pierce through everything. But if you really want to up your clear, you can put GMP in there and switch that out with hypothermia. So you definitely want one green socket in your staff. If you end up getting a red one in there and you can't get rid of it, you know, you got 4 blues, a red and a green or something like that, just throw an added fire damage. Don't fight your currency to make the perfect colors on this thing right away. As you clear through maps and start a farming strategy, you'll have more than enough currency to color it however you want, whenever you want to. It'll be a piece of cake. But to start, just take the 6 link and make sure you got a bunch of blues, and if you get a red and a green, go with that. So you'll do just fine. Currency Atlas strategies with the skill. I'm thinking what I'd like. Blight's easy. They'll be good with Blight. They're all over the place. Minions are always good at Blight. I don't know if they're good at Legion. Tough to say. They'd be obviously fine for my favorite strategy is Harbingers, Shrines, and Strong Boxes. It's not slow. You just pop the only thing that slows you down is waiting to kill a Harbinger. They'd be really good at essences because you can preload them by popping your, you can summon all these guys in with just consuming corpses from your channeling skill before the fight even starts. So as soon as the essence comes up, your damage is there and they're ready to go. It's very nice for that kind of stuff. Probably be fine for ritual. If you like Trial Master, they're probably fine for that. But I don't know. I guess if I was really going to focus on them, and Harvest is good too. I mean, I can't imagine they'd struggle with Harvest. So yeah, they're just good all around. I think I wouldn't use Legion. I wouldn't use Expedition because I don't like the block monsters in Expedition. I think they're a pain in the butt unless you're doing like a Ignite Proliferation or something, and then it doesn't matter. So I hate Expedition basically unless you're playing a chieftain or something. Legion is tough unless you're playing a chaining ability like Arc or Lightning Arrow or some other massive AoE clear type thing. So I would avoid that. Void Legion Expedition, most of the other strats should be just fine. Excelling at essences, and Blade will be a piece of cake. I'm sure Harvest will be a piece of cake. So all those will make you money. You can sell Life Force from Harvest, always makes money. You can sell Fracturing Shards from Harbinger, always makes you money. And you can sell whatever comes in the chest from Blight. You're just gonna get currency. Blight's just always good, and it's so easy. So you can't go wrong with those. Blight doesn't have very good Scarab stuff. Harbinger has fantastic Scarabs. Life Force with Harvest has fantastic Scarabs. So lots of stuff you can do. And like I said, you're going to breeze through the campaign the second you get your Sentinel. So anyway, that's kind of a build guide. Basically, just give it a try. Soulwrest is going to be awesome this league. Anyway, if you've liked this content, please hit the like and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching.